It was Tuesday. There were 9 games on. Dudes got hurt. Dudes went off. Dudes sucked. It's all there. Michael Bolton. Should we break it down?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, or as one NBA executive called me, the person with the same ferocity and passion in him that I saw in Kobe. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms, so give us a bit of a double bang and a thumb up, and while you're doing that, head to lockedondaily.com and find the newsletters, the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. All the info delivered straight into your inbox. We are here to recap Tuesday. It's Kyrgyzstan's National Hat Day. So if you've got a Kyrgyzstani hat lying around, stick it on, do a bit of a dance, celebrate the fact that you got one, and then go about your daily business. We're going to talk some news stuff first, and you've seen most of this stuff already, I'm guessing. We're talking about Kyrie, torn ACL. I think you know that. Anthony Davis, the report from Shams Charania was there's discussions of maybe his season's over. Yeah, I know his season's over, my guy. We've talked about this for a long time. I don't know it. I don't know for sure that Anthony Davis' season is over. I just know for sure that his season is over. I don't. But it is, but I don't. Now, if you want to have somebody to blame, if you drop Anthony Davis, and then he does come back, just blame me. Just blame me. Say, you told me to drop him. Do that. That's okay. That might help ease for you. I don't have Anthony Davis, I think, on any teams. So I'm not actually put into the personal position of dropping him. If I did have him, well, I'd first try to hold him in IL. But I actually feel all right about dropping him. I've got 3 weeks left in all my seasons. And one of those weeks is a 2-game week anyway. That's the final week. I would say there is less than 5% chance we see Davis this season. No idea if that's true or not. But everything since the moment it happened, reading between the lines of what was and wasn't said, suggests to me that he's done. Don't know. Jaren Jackson has a grade 2 ankle sprain. That's going to cost weeks. They're calling him week to week, so that's more than a week. That's 2 at least. I'm going to say it's 3 to 5. I'll say that. Yeah, he's more certain to return than what Anthony Davis is. He's the front runner, or second favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. He's got to hit 65 games. And will we get a Tyrese Halliburton scenario where he comes back, can't walk, but just plays 20 minutes up and down the court to get the award? I hope not. Because that is just antithetical for what that stupid rule means. I don't know that he's a drop. I would be more inclined to hold on to Jaren than I would be Anthony Davis. But with him out, Santi Aldama, Zach Edey, Brandon Clark are your 12-team options, GG Jackson, and Vince Williams your deeper options. Dick is busted. They said that his knee was fine, old Grady, but it's not. It's all bent out of shape. Bone bruise in the old dick knee. Yeah, Mr. Summers. What do we do with Grady? Oh, yeah, obviously you drop him. Right, we'll talk about the Raptors later. Gary Trent III started in place of him, and he'll probably continue to do that, and we'll talk about them later on. But they're another story. We'll talk about them later. Julian Strouthers out 4 weeks, just in case you weren't aware. And then Norman Powell, his hamstring soreness is being reevaluated in 10 days. Oh, wow. Amazing. It's a strain of his hamstring. He's out 10 days. Let's call that 2.5 weeks. A reasonable time frame. 3 weeks should be your expectation. If he's back earlier, just be thankful for it. If he's back earlier, but also, if it's 3 weeks and your playoff started yesterday, you're done. That's it. It's game over. We'll talk about the Clippers later on, but that appears that Norman Powell is going to miss a significant bunch of time here. Let's take a look at some waiver wire trends across the NBA, who's been added, who's been dropped. The most added players, the top 6 of those guys. We're talking Kelly Olynyk, Andre Drummond, Caris LeVert, Quentin Grimes, Jeremy Sohan, and Ty Jerome. So what do we make of that list? Olynyk, I think, should be added. People obviously reacted to Andre Drummond's big game. I'll save my thoughts on that for later. Caris LeVert, yeah, makes a bit of sense. Quentin Grimes makes pretty good sense. Jeremy Sohan sort of made sense, but I'm not sure that's going to work out. And then Milk, well, we know the Milk story again. All of these players, Olynyk, Drummond, LeVert, Grimes, Sohan, Jerome, they all played today. So we'll talk about their individual values and what we make of it when we get to those games. The most dropped player, number 1, is Kyrie Irving. Yep, okay, we get that. Jose Alvarado next. Jalen Suggs, didn't even talk about this. He is officially out for the season. We expected that, but he's done for the year. Bismack Biyombo, oh no. If you held on to Bismack Biyombo and saw the nonsense he did over the weekend, and then you saw today's game, you're going to be pretty annoyed. But I get it. It makes a lot of sense. I'd assume out for the season as well. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker also, if you drop Nickeil Alexander-Walker and then you saw today's game, you'd be feeling pretty annoyed. But that is the risk we take. These are the things that happens with these fringe guys. They're up and down, and the performances and the production is a little bit unpredictable, to say the least. Let's talk Raptors. They had a big lead over the Orlando Magic, so they decided, right, we're up. Let's bench everybody. Let's bench our good players. Let's try our bad players. The Magic came back. The Magic got there, got the lead, and then the Raptors win the game anyway. Just absolutely, as a general rule, this is true. As a general rule, this is true, right? Coaches and players don't usually tank. Today, I'm going to make an exception because Darko tanked. They told us in the preseason, we are not going to try to win games. And in this game, they didn't. Now they should, if the NBA is going to be serious about this, they need a phone call. The NBA needs to send a fax with a picture of Jonte Porter through to them. But also just need to be like, bro, what are we doing? Now, it is hard to tell coaches, hey, who do you play and who don't you play? But that was blatant. Right? That was really blatant. And what I think that gives you is a pretty good insight into how they're feeling rest of the season and to the fact that Brandon Ingram is definitely not suiting up. And I'd say that we're also not getting Dick back either. So, Barnes played 30 minutes. He had 17, 13, 5, 3 steals and a block. That's not bad. Pirtle, 17 and 7, 2 steals and a block. That's not bad. RJ Barrett, 21, 8, 9. It's very good, apart from 4 of 9 from the line. Quickly, 15, 4 and 4. It's not bad. But all these guys, their minutes were just limited because they got benched to put spuds in to try and lose the game, and then they won. So we'll see what this does. We'll see if there's any outcry. Or, honestly, and I say this with absolutely no disrespect and completely honestly, because it's in Toronto, does anybody actually care? Is there any fuss made of this that creates anything? Probably not. It was shocking. The problem is it makes total sense for them to do that. The guy that did start in place of Dickey was Jacoby Walter. 28 minutes, 17 points. Now, he is, let me get this straight. He is Lonnie Walker. This is the player. He is a guy that can score, and you go, hey, look at that. The amount of people have told me, man, you're so wrong. He's going to cook. He's going to cook. And they'll say that he cooked. He had 17 points. He had the big shot at the end. But 17, 3 and 0 on 40% shooting is shit for fantasy. Now, the 7 of 8 from the line is good. The steal on the block is good. I would not add Jacoby Walter. I would look at it in deep leagues, and he is going to have an extended run here. But he is just a poor fantasy contributor as a general rule. Keep an eye on AJ Lawson. You go, who? Yeah, fair enough. He played 26 minutes. He had 13 with 3 threes and 2 blocks, but the shooting was unbelievable. It's not going to be that good. Just keep an eye. And then newly signed Jared Roden on a 2-way deal had 21 minutes, which for those of you in deep leagues will need to pay attention. Just also keep an extra eye on Orlando Robinson. No more 2-way game limits. And if they're going to be shenaniganizing like this, he'll get some starts. And he will be useful for us at one point. I'm sure his face, Orlando Robinson, will pop up on one of the daily preview shows going, hey, he might be a very good stream for us. Because that is where we're going to be at, I think, when we get to that point in the season. We're not there yet. For the Magic, Cole Anthony was out, so they didn't go to Mr. Black. They went to Corey Joseph. And that should just show you where they are with Anthony Black at the moment. 5 points in 15 minutes for Black with a steal on 25%. You, please, God, you don't roster him. Absolutely no way. As for Corey Joseph, well, he was very Corey Joseph. 8, 1, and 5 with 2 threes. That's Corey Joseph. I don't care about it in anything outside of the very, very deep leagues, and I just hope that Cole Anthony returns. Paolo was amazing. 40 minutes, 41, 7 and 8, 4 steals, 4 threes, 1 block, 70 from the field and 90 from the line. You will probably never get a better Paolo Banchero line than that. Franz Wagner went to the locker room, but he returned. He played 36 minutes, 28 and 4. Still can't really get it rolling at the level that we want. That's not a bad game. And then Tristan da Silva had been basically out of the rotation and played 28 minutes, 12 points and 4 threes with a steal. He only shot 5 times, so just everything went in. 4 or 5 from 3, that's all he did. So don't overreact to that. Wendell Carter did nothing, 2 and 6, 3 assists. We absolutely do not roster Wendell Carter in 12-team leagues, not at all.
Get that garbage out of here.
We don't roster Goga Badadze, who had 2 and 5 in 16 minutes. That dream is cooked, while Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had a nice 12 points. He had 2 threes, but again, no reason in the world that you would want to roster that in a 12-team format. None at all. Today's episode is brought to you by the big dogs over at Open Phone. If you're running a small business, well, you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone becomes your business phone. And before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. And as your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That is where Open Phone comes in. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal lives separate. $15 a month. You get complete transparency, and you can activate it through an app on your phone or on your computer and see all of the different things that it offers. Integrate it with tools like HubSpot as well. It gives AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, plus automated messages if you happen to miss a call. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That is openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off for 6 months. That is openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Let's do the next game. The Houston Rockets and the Indiana Pacers. The Rockets, last time we saw them, yesterday, they had everybody out. That is not the case for them in this game. They were able to bring a lot of their guys back, which is great. Şengün returned. Jock Landale went to the bench. Amen Thompson returned. Cam Whitmore went to the bench. And then what we saw is Tari Eason was available, but he didn't start. So who is it? Is it Jabari? Is it Tari? Are they just going to alternate? Because we saw Tari Eason start over Jabari Smith, and then Jabari Smith started while Tari Eason rested, and then Jabari Smith stayed starting while Tari Eason returned. So I don't really know what to make of that. Where do we go? How do we figure out how they're going to run that? Well, I'm not sure it matters, honestly. Dylan Brooks is the other one that returned, and Reed Shepherd went to the bench. I'm not sure that it matters. And here's why. Tari Eason played 26 minutes. He had 16 and 14. He had 2 threes. He had an abominable? Not sure that's the right word. He had 8 offensive rebounds. 8. This is what he does. Now, often, it's because he misses his own shot and just keeps grabbing and putting it back in. But he did that. Jabari Smith played 37 minutes and had 12 and 9. So, if Eason starts, it's even better for him. If Jabari starts, it's still Eason that you want. Even though the limit on the minutes for Eason becomes more annoying. Thompson had an inefficient game, 40 minutes for him, 13, 12, and 4 on 39 and 50%. They're both bad numbers, but overall the counting stats are good. While Şengün had 25, 9, and 7. Brooks was fine as a stream guy. We know what he is. And then Jalen Green sucked, man. 33 minutes, benched for a period in the fourth quarter again. He's in the downturn of the Jalen Green cycle. Not that he was benched for an extreme amount of time. He just, all the other starters came back in, and he didn't at the start of the fourth, and he played like 5 or 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. He's a guy that I do think we want to roster, but honestly, if push comes to shove and there's a bad schedule period, you might move on. Honestly, you might. If you decided that adding Reed Shepherd or Cam Whitmore was the right move, you were wrong. 4 points for Shepherd in 14 minutes and 3 points for Whitmore in 7. That's why we didn't sort of linger on that one yesterday, because it had absolutely zero forward-facing projection value, because they played because guys were out. That is literally it and nothing more. On the Pacers side of the game, they rolled out the same starting lineup, and Tyrese Halliburton, the man that I said was going to fall off in his production, did not. Okay. That doesn't mean that he won't, because like I detailed, if you want a surface level look at, and someone took the bait and left a comment on my video about Tyrese Halliburton and said, oh yeah, you're right about Miles Turner, but I think you're wrong about Halliburton. I think he only gets better from here. I go, bro, come on. He was averaging 3 steals and shooting 70% from the field and like 60% from 3. The thing is, you got to look at the individual things. There is absolutely no way in the world that Tyrese Halliburton will continue to just get better from there. Now, this is very good. 28 and 15 assists with 5 threes. He is on a hot streak to end all hot streaks. But his actual value dipped after this game because he only had one steal. Because he shot 56 from the field. He still was 63 from 3 again. But his value dipped. Because that's what happens when you're playing those big numbers. So, if you assess fantasy from a surface level, go, guy good, averaging number. He will do better because he is good. Sorry for the impression. But, you're going to end up having a bad time. Because I can think that Tyrese Halliburton is great. And I do. And I can sit there and go, that's amazing that he's doing that. But I can also look at it and go, there's no chance. It's just not going to continue. And we have to have those realistic expectations versus he's good, he can do gooder, and then go from there. Andy Nembhard. And that guy that left the comment said, hey, you can roast me on the show if you want. Boom. Roasted. Maybe. Nembhard, 5 points. Okay, that's cool, but the rest is good. 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. That is a cornucopia of goodies. Now, he is the guy getting a little bit of bump with Ben Mathurin out, and you stream him in, you use him in this spot. Otherwise, he just doesn't do enough. And the same goes with Aaron Nesmith, who had 16 and 5, which again is pretty good. It's a little empty in some other areas, but going from a 29-minute into a 33, 34-minute role is good enough. Turner continued to be solid, just not quite as good. 16 with 4 threes and 3 blocks, and not much else. And Pascal Siakam's, he's slumping in a big way. 18, 2 and 2, a 0-0, inefficient. It's a real rough run. 164th over the last 2 weeks for Pascal. That's bad, obviously. You don't do anything with it. You don't drop him or nothing dumb like that. You just hope for a turnaround. It's been a pretty weird season, I would say, overall for Pascal Siakam. Let's go on to the third game of the day. We're talking Milwaukee Bucks, Atlanta Hawks. 127 Milwaukee, 121 Atlanta. Same lineup for Milwaukee. Remember yesterday Kyle Kuzma was doubtful? Well, he played. He played 33 minutes and he did his Kyle Kuzma thing, 17 and 10. So on the surface, you go, yeah, let's go, buddy. We're fired up. And again, it's the curse of the double digit. It's the curse of the sexy 2 digits. We're not talking 2 fat ladies here, but we are talking 2 numbers. And it makes us get excited. Because we go, 17 and 10, it's a double-double. But 17 is below average for scoring. The 10 rebounds is good, but look at the rest of the shit. 1 3, 2 assists, no steals, no blocks. 67 from the line. Bleh. The 70% from the field is good, but we know what Kuzma is. He is a points league guy who's in a spot where his usage is going to be way down, and I don't think you need to hold him. Even though Portis is out, I don't think that Kuzma's a must-roster player. Yanni had 26, 12, and 10. Damo had 23, 5, and 4. Copped a bit of a whack in the head from old Clint Capella. I think he'll be okay there. And Brook Lopez continued his nice little run, although the shooting dropped 13 and 13 with a 1-1 for Brookie. Gaz Trent did his thing. Don't ever get sucked into Gaz Trent. 15 points, 2 threes, 2 steals. He'll have 1 point in the next game. And this one, that meant Big Boom AJ Green struggled a bit. 8 points with 2 threes. Same with the artist formerly known as the amino acid legend, Torian Prince, who had 8 with 2 triples as well. They are just streaming options, and that is realistically about it. We should move on now to talk about the Atlanta Hawks, because sometimes we do this game, job, hobby, fun, whatever it is, and we try and get our head around things. We try and figure out what may or may not be going on. And we go, okay, Mohamed Ayugé, the night watchman, had been starting, playing 14 minutes a night, went from starting to out of the rotation. You go, all right, guess you're done with that. Quinn, I don't really get why you would start him and then he doesn't play at all the next game. He was good enough to start but not to play, even though he's playing low minutes. All right, that makes sense. Then literally the next day, Quinn goes, nah, sorry, we're changing it up again. It's actually going to be Gay time here. A golden Gay time, some may say, where Gay goes back and starts. Old mate Don Barlow, who started the last game, got a DMP. And on top of that, the night watchman plays 25 minutes, has 15 and 5 with 4 threes, 2 steals, and a block. And then we have to ask the question, the trite fantasy question. Anything to see here? Probably not, to be honest. If the night watchman played 25 minutes a night, I actually would add Gay everywhere. Gay is hot. Gay is now. I want some Gay. But I don't want some Gay at this stage. If you are in a... Maybe this is an opportunity for me to drop this one. If you are in a double Onyx, Diamond, Titanium, Platinum, Palladium League, and everyone's going to be grabbing every player available everywhere, they're all going to be fiends for Gay right there. Maybe you do, because that's an encouraging sign. But if you just want to peek a little bit more under the surface, you'll see that every other sign looks terrible. Is the most recent sign more important? Probably, yeah. But it doesn't really mean anything until I see it again. But sometimes that can be too late. Terrence Mann is shooting 1,000,000% since coming across in the trade. That is going to crash. But he had 12, 4, and 4 with 4 threes, a steal, and a block. Lovely. Caris LeVert, 21, 3, and 4 with a steal and 2 threes, also shooting the absolute lights out. They have been two of the best streams I could have suggested for the beginning of the streaming plan this week. It's worked immaculately. I would 100% hold LeVert over Mann, no question. But both of these guys are going to crash, and they're going to crash hard. Trae Young had 28 with 13 assists, and George Niang, who came back from his illness, we thought he'd do more. He did not. 8 points with 2 threes on 27%. But what was one of the things I said yesterday about number 1 pick legend Zachary Ricochet? Everyone is going to get the old Danish backhand, the Turkish grip. They're all going to get fired up, and they're going to talk about, oh, see, he was picked number 1 for a reason. The draft class is not as bad as you might say. And the point that I tried to make with Ricochet was that every time he has one of those games that causes the reactive comments, it's because he shoots like 80%. And then he goes back and does nothing. 7, 4, and 0 with 0 steals and 0 blocks on 30% shooting. Missed his only free throw. Shot 17% from 3. And you go, what are you doing? And of course, the minutes went back to under 25, and we're back to the same old bullshit of like, do we bother? They had 3 games in 4 nights to start this week. The schedule's not bad. There's only 2 more games left for the week, though. So, if you wanted to cut bait on Ricochet, when you know that these games are so common, I think it makes sense. Capella played 21 minutes. Okay. 8 and 8, 2 steals and 2 blocks. Honestly, that's not the worst. I definitely wouldn't be rostering him and saying, hey, I'm holding Clint Capella because I fully believe in the dental plan legend. But if you did for some reason still have him and you plopped him out there, I don't think you're going to be too disappointed with that return. The episode today, this is not the way that I normally say that, but I'll say it now. It's brought to you by BetterHelp. Who is in your support system? Maybe I need to contact my support system because I feel like I might be losing my mind a little bit, but that's okay because we need people to lean on, whether it's friends or family, mentors, professionals, even the strongest leaders and professional athletes. And I don't know, your favorite to least favorite podcaster might need that as well because support systems make us better. Therapy is one of the best ways to build a strong support system. It's not just for tough times. It helps you prepare for tough times. It sets boundaries, develops coping skills, sets your professional and personal goals. All that stuff is super important. And with BetterHelp, you can do that. And BetterHelp is great because it's fully online. It makes it easier than ever to connect with a licensed therapist from anywhere. Over 30,000 professionals available. You can find the right fit and switch anytime to a new therapist at no cost. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Let's go through to the next game. The Golden State Warriors travel to take on the New York Knickerbockers. They win 114-102 over the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. The Warriors, same lineup again, still no bucket. John Kuminga remains sidelined. Steph Curry was great, 28, 7, and 9. Draymond was Draymond. 8 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. That's a pretty good game. Podziemski continues to be solid. 19, 5, and 4 with 2 threes. For now, you just rostered Brandon Podziemski. And we didn't fully get the Bud Hield resurgence. 15 points with 3 threes is fine. Rostering him is not fine. Please see somebody for that. He is a stream guy for threes, and that is it. While Moses Moody played 27 minutes for 9 points, you're not rostering him. And what is going on with Jimmy Butler? I'll tell you what. He is a little washed, some may say. Jimmy did have 19 points, but no threes. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, no steals, no blocks. 7 of 9 from the line. This is honestly a brutal run from Jim. And you're not dropping him, of course, but I think that at no point in the future should anyone be touching Jimmy Butler inside the top 45 of any fantasy draft. Just don't do it. People are rostering Quentin Post. Please don't do that. 3 and 3 for him in 15 minutes, and it's going to get worse when Kuminga returns, or at the very least, it won't get better. And Guy Santos Alhelper had a 1-1 with 9 points in his 15. Shout out to Kevin Knox, still somehow playing minutes. The Knicks were without Karl Anthony Towns away for a personal reason. I don't know what the personal reason is, and I actually don't care to look into what it is. I hope everything's okay for Karl. They've got a Thursday, Friday back-to-back as well, so there's going to be some risks there. Now, of course, they started Mitchell Robinson, and I know that people added him. Don't. He's on a minutes limit. He played 15 minutes. He had 7 and 5. Don't. This is just like if you are trying to stream in Jericho Sims. Yeah, Towns might miss the back-to-back, but you know what Mitchell Robinson's going to do? Play 15 minutes combined over 2 games. So no. What you do look at is the big sneeze. DNP legend Precious Achiuwa. Now, Achiuwa literally got DNP'd last game, but he played 30 minutes here, had 8 and 15 in a block, and with a Thursday-Friday back-to-back, and the Knicks are the only team doing that, that is streamable. Absolutely, that is streamable. Talked about Josh Hart on the Buy Low show. Said, hey, I think probably he's going to be able to bounce back. He's had a real slump. But of course, he didn't get the Buy Low bump. He got the Buy Low. You want to see how low I can actually go? Because he had 2 points on 13%. He did have 8 rebounds, no steals and no blocks. And it took me a while to be convinced that his high field goal percentage this season would stick. And then it did stick. And now it's died in the arse completely. I hope and I worry because this is one of the signs. Tired legs, injured lower body. You know what it means? It's harder to get high efficiency because you can't finish as well. You can't get your good jump shot going. He's had a banged up knee all the way through. But of course, would Tom Thibodeau sit him? Of course he wouldn't. So I'm a little worried here. I'm a little worried. But who wants to do a bold-ish statement discussion here? Do you think the Knicks win a series in the playoffs? I have very big doubts. OG was great. He is on a massive hot streak. 29 with 4 threes for the Jedi in 42 minutes, while Brunson had 25, 2 and 7. And it was a solid enough Mikal Bridges game. But as per usual with the Knicks, it's not really a lot to talk about from a fantasy point of view. What am I talking about here? We're going on to the next game. And we're going to Cleveland. No, we're not. We're going to Chicago, actually, to see the Bulls host the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell returned. Evan Mobley rested. They play again tomorrow. Who's the rest guy? Is it Garland? I think it probably will be, but we'll find out. They win 139-117. Jarrett Allen, who was on the Buy Low show, and dutifully saluted. 25 and 17 with 2 steals on 91%. Now, there is a risk that he doesn't play tomorrow as well, but that's good result. 28 minutes only for Donnie Mitchell, 28, 7 and 5 with a 3, and Darius Garland shot poorly, 32%, but 19, 3 and 7 with 5 threes, an expected day off for him. What we want to talk about, though, is the rest of the nonsense on this team, because yesterday, it was, not yesterday, what day was it? Sunday, it was all about the big performances from the bench crud. DeAndre Hunter continued to start. He played 24 minutes and had 6 and 5 on 29% because he is not a 12-team rosterable player. Max Strus had 11, 3 and 5 in 25 minutes, which is serviceably fine. But if I can use that sort of a line and get it 7 times instead of holding on to Strus, I'd do it every single time. Not a 12-team league guy. Milk played 23 minutes, Ty Jerome. 16 points is fine. 30% shooting. 16, 3 and 2 with no defensive stats. He was a focus on the Sell High show, saying it's been great, he's been awesome. But some of this stuff has no hope. And that is 3 games in a row of subpar shooting, and he is crashing, and I don't like trusting a 17 to 21 minute a night 7th man. And yeah, with rests, he will bump. But will he hold those shooting numbers? I don't think so. I still think that he's in the group of the TMC guard, wings, streamable collective guys. Slam and Sammy Merrill had 11 with 3 threes and 2 blocks. There's just not enough from him on a regular basis for us to care about. What we can care about a little bit here is what on earth is going to happen with the Chicago Bulls. Are they doing it? Are they really going to do it? Are they going to tank? Trey Jones started. Josh Giddey was out. So was Vooch. So was Lonzo. So was Herter. So was Williams. So was Dosunmu. Now, Dosunmu's not coming back. Williams and Vooch might be back in the next game. So may Ball, so may Giddey, so may Herter. I don't know. They're going to be all over the place. Let's talk center. Zach Collins, 28 minutes. So he played like 41 minutes, 30 minutes, 28 minutes. Still starting over Jalen Smith and putting up great numbers. 28 and 12, 3 steals and a block. Very intrigued to see how Billy Donovan handles this, though, when Vooch returns. Does Smith stay as the backup? Does Collins go to the backup? Does Smith play at the 4? Where does he play at the 4 if Bozales and Williams are there? I don't know. For now, like Smith actually did enough to be rosterable. 13-11 with 2 threes and a block. But I wouldn't. He's streamable, and that's it. Collins, you just use until Vooch returns. Kobe White, very inefficient, 39%. But he did have 25 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals and a block. Now, he's been banged up this season as well. I would not think that he is the one that's going to be immune while Giddey, Ball, Sumu, Williams, Vooch sit games. So while we go, it's all very good, they're all out, White might cook, I don't know that he will. I think he'll actually be a part of the guys that sit down. Dalen Terry's not an NBA player. He started, he played 4 minutes, he's not there. And Matus Bozales, encouraging, 31 minutes, 17 and 7 with a block on 41%. A lot of volume, good. But look who had to be out. If we knew these guys were out, I'd actually be into rostering Bazelis. But I don't, so I'm not. Do I really have to do it now? Do I have to talk about Taylor Horton-Tucker scoring 22 points? All right, 22, 4, and 6 with 3 threes. 50% shooting. 18 shot attempts. I've never seen a man try to hijack NBA games more than this guy does. But again, we are an equal opportunity show that dishes out slander to players. I'll dish it out to him. But if he's going to be useful for fantasy, we're going to be interested. I don't think we're there. But if guys are out, and if they decide that it is a priority to play Taylor Horton-Tucker, which again is a great way to lose, but it just makes no sense. Not because they shouldn't lose, because they should. It's more like, hey, maybe try like Julian Phillips or give Dalen Terry more minutes or see something. But for now, we have to have the little finger on the Taylor Horton-Tucker trigger going, maybe. Not yet. Double Onyxes, you've already done it, I know. But maybe. And man, that's so disgusting. I felt so gross doing that. But you never know. There is fantasy playoffs and late March do make strange bedfellows. Shout out to Beds. The Timberwolves cooked the Sixers 126-112, and I've got some bad news for you guys. The Sixers might be bad. Yeah, Paul George returned, Kelly Oubre returned, Tyrese Maxey was out, and Justin Edwards was out. Both guys got hurt in the last game. I'm going to go ahead and say it for you. Paul George is... You fill in the gap. I'd love to know what words came out of your mouth. Washed, shit, idiot, clown, thief. Any of those things? Not from me, maybe from you. What I was going to say is, I think he's done. I think the season is over. He left at the start of the fourth quarter with the groin tightness again. Talked about the ominousness, ominimity. Those aren't words. The omen that seemed to be the appearance of a groin soreness on the injury report. I said, here we go. Here we go. Him, his finger, Maxey, his finger, his back. They're setting it up. He left early today. The quote from Nick Nurse post-game was, hey, are you concerned? Yeah, we are very concerned. I know you are. Because, again, I am sorry to tell you, done. I don't know this at all for sure. I am guessing. I am putting this out there as a guess. Here is how I think it plays out. Paul George has groin soreness. Cool. Paul George has a grade 2 groin strain. He will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. All right? 3 weeks will come and go. Nobody will say anything, and George will just not come back. We get to the 6th of April, and they will say, Paul George is concentrating on his rehab and will return fit and healthy for training camp in September. That is how I foresee it playing out. If that comes to pass exactly correct, just know that I've got my Gray's Almanac. If not, I had to go at it. Would I drop Paul George? No, because that information was plucked from behind. I took it from my ass. I made it up. But I didn't just make it up as fiction fairy tale. I made it up based on numerous observations of this team and the way things are going. And I wouldn't put it out there if I was just speculating on nonsense. I don't know it, so I wouldn't drop it. But I might make moves to insulate. Grimes, 39 minutes, 30 points, 3 threes, 3 steals. I like this guy a lot. Now, he's not going to shoot this well, but he is in really good spot to cook. And he played point guard in this game, while Oubre had 24 and 3 with a 1-1 on 58%. The other guy whose minutes were up was Gershon Yabusele. Now, his minutes were up yesterday, and he was bad in them. But I think we might get a lot of him at the 4 now. 18 and 7 with 2 steals. Look, if you wanted to roster him, go for it. Fine. I just think his upside is pretty low. Andre Drummond, who was the apple of everybody's eye yesterday, he turns out he's just Andre Drummond. He had 4 and 7 in 19 minutes. He had 4 fouls. He shot 20% because, again, he is washed. I think that he will get a chance to start multiple games, but he's already started multiple games this season, and the quality of his play in those games was bad. Although, again, 4 fouls here, I think he will do more. If you added him, he does have an ability to generate stats. And if Paul George is out like I think he is, then I think Drummond will start next to Yabusele ROS until he goes down and Alex Reese is starting games. So this is a dud. Drummond is not very good, but there is still fantasy stats to get here. And while the direction they're going, I think he will start and play 24 minutes rest of the season, I guess. The ones to look at are Justin Edwards, who was out in this game. If he is able to return, you might get 12s out of him. And then it's Lonnie Walker and Ricky Council, but I'm not going in that direction. In 12-team leagues, it's just going to be too hit or miss for me. What about the Minnesota side of this game? They didn't make the change, and Mike Conley started over DiVincenzo. Dante was fine, 12, 2, and 8 with 4 threes. I just want a little bit more. Conley had 12, 7, and 6, and that's honestly one of his better games. But I'm not going to look at him as a 12-team league guy. The guy that really popped was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 20 points, 3 threes, 27 minutes, 3 assists, and 2 steals. It's a great game. I don't think I'm going to react to it. He's a 14-team league option and a 12-team streamer. Jaden McDaniels, 17 with 4 blocks, is a great game. Anthony Edwards did have a locker room trip. He returned, but his thumb was wrapped up. 30 minutes for him. 18, 5, and 1. A very underwhelming game. While Randall had 16 and 8, and Reed had 23 and 6. And then, of course, we see, I think there's a decent chance that Randall sits tomorrow and and Gobert plays. So keep an eye on that. So Reed will keep starting. Gobert will be back, and Randall will sit, and then we'll get the adjustment the game after. That's how I think it's going to play out. TJ Shannon played only 10 minutes, and Jalen Clark played only 9, so they're sort of on the way out of the rotation at this point. Let's go to the next game. We're talking Nets and Spurs. The Spurs win at 127-113. This is the first game that D'Angelo Russell and Cam Thomas have started together. Russell played 25 minutes, which he seems to do every game. 12 points, 4 assists, 2 threes, 1 steal, 1 block. You don't need to roster him. I'm going to say this is a blanket statement for the Nets. They play 5 games next week. It is the only 5-game week left in the season. They play 5 games. I don't think D'Angelo Russell plays all 5. I'm bloody certain Cam Thomas doesn't play all 5. But the 5-game appeal is there. So when I say, hey, I don't know if you need to hold them, they've got 2 more games left this week. So if you're do or die, holding onto a spud like Russell, which is what he is I don't think going to be worth it. But the 5-game allure is there. Thomas was Thomas. 24 points, 19 shots. The 6 assists are nice. The 4 threes are good, but no defensive stats and 1 rebound. You know who he is. He's probably worth having. But again, it's going to be back-endy sort of stuff. Well, Cam Johnson was mid. He's been mid for like 4 or 5 weeks now. 17 and 3 with 4 assists is fine. And we do still probably hold him at this stage. The risk of holding Day'Ron Sharpe was here. 16 minutes, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block. And I will restate it. He is not just taking over from Nick Claxton. You know that by now. Do not get deluded into thinking that. If he plays 18 minutes a game next week, 5 games, it's a bit less than 100 minutes. It's good enough to start. But the downside of a 16-minute-a-night reserve center is on full display here. Yeah, he'll have some big games. Absolutely he will. But he was, again, one of the players that I talked about at the start of the week and said, hey, if you've got to make a decision to stream to get extra games in and you've got Day'Ron Sharpe as your worst player, you might need to move on, and I think you'll be okay. A reserve center playing 18 minutes is very, very hard to rely upon. And he showed why. He'll have better games, absolutely. Same goes with Keon Johnson. Same goes with Zaire Williams. 18 minutes for Keon, 19 or 20 minutes for Zaire. Did absolutely nothing. The 5 games is alluring, but can you afford it this week? 5 days left this week. They've got 2 games. It's a bad schedule. You might be able to do better. So see whether you can. The Spurs side of this. Yeah. Okay. Like I hinted at, well, I didn't hint at, I just told you earlier in the day, is that if you drop Bismack Biyombo, he'd be pissed because he had 13 and 14 in 26 minutes. He had 2 blocks, 60%. Bro had done nothing. He'd been doing nothing. Like nothing. And now he does this. Can we trust him? No. One thing that has been a relatively common theme all season, the centers can cook the Nets very, very often. Even Nick Richards had a big game against them. They can cook them. So I wouldn't be overreacting to add Busy in this one. What they did do was not go to Jeremy Sohan, who played 22 minutes for 2 points, 3 assists. He was an interesting grab last game. I thought they might prioritize him. They did not, so you move on. Steph Castle, only 27 minutes. That's bad. He needs bulk minutes and bulk usage because he sucks in many different areas. He still had the good usage, 31 usage, but only 27 minutes and then missed all 4 of his free throws. He had 17, 4, and 6 with 2 steals. Overall, it's not a bad game. He still can't hit threes. He didn't hit free throws. His efficiency is going to kill you. I think it's fine to roster him. I think it's totally fine because they are determined to pump that usage into him. For better or worse, they are doing it, and they're going to keep doing it most of the time. And that's cool. But just be aware, you're going to have bad games. Vassell, people dropped him in a lot of spots. He had some bad games, but yeah, I wouldn't have done that. 37 and 10, 8 threes, 5 assists, 4 steals, and a block, while Fox had 15, 3, and 7. Speaking of mid, what is going on with this guy? He's been terrible. I would not be shocked if there's a finger surgery coming soon. He just looks bad. Keldon was Keldon, 15 and 8, 27 minutes, not much else. Not a 12-team league guy. Points leagues, I can understand the rationale. I'm not going to get excited about it, but I can understand the rationale, but that's realistically it. All right. Clippers, Suns, crazy game. The Clippers do win it. Norman Powell was out. The hamstring soreness, again, it's a strain. He's out for 10 days, and they started Bogdanovic. Derek Jones remains sidelined, so does Ben Simmons, and it doesn't seem like Simmons will play tomorrow either. Kawhi Leonard will be out tomorrow also. Let's talk about the Clippers. So let's talk about Bogdanovic, because that's going to be the interesting question that people are going to have is, do we go and add him now that we know Powell is out for this period of time? Also, like I said at the start, you might need to make that call to drop Norman Powell depending on where you are in your season. Bogdanovic played 37 minutes. 13 and 4 with 3 assists and 3 threes. Now, I'll say this. It's so conflicting to look at this because you go, ooh, 37 minutes. I've got to add him. You go, okay, 13, 4, and 3. That's pretty bad. Surely it must have been because he shot poorly. Oh, what? He shot 71%? And that's still all we got? So I go, what does it mean? Where do we go from here? Because the minutes should always be very interesting. But he had 10 usage. Now, tomorrow, I do think he plays the back-to-back. Kawhi is going to be out, so he should do more. But that's nowhere near enough. That production's not even close. So if you want to try it tomorrow with Kawhi out and see, but that's like very just fringe territory. We got 32 minutes from Chris Dunn, and that was bad. I would not drop him. He got you the 2 steals. He shot 17%. Remember, he is not a good offensive player. What you have him for is a sprinkling of assists, good steals, and you got that part. A block maybe. He just had a shocking night. And I would hold him. The value is there for him at the moment. And then we can assess it if it just doesn't play out. But I would be holding him at this stage. Amir Coffey had 13. Yeah, cool. I'm not really that worried about him. Kawhi played 37 minutes and he'll sit. Jim Harden continues just his unrepentant chase to destroy your field goals. 21, 6, and 15 with 2 steals on 36 from the field. He's been atrocious, but the other counting stats are good. Well, Zubac's cooked 35 and 10 with a steal and a block for the big fella on 83%. We love that, but they didn't win. They didn't win. The Suns, they won a game. A close game, in fact. Good victory. What does it mean moving forward? Probably nothing. The Suns, let's start. They route out the same starting lineup. I'm going to venture a guess they don't in the next game because Bol, the cycle has ended. He played 9 minutes. He didn't start the second half. He is bad. And I know at times it can be hard with all the different things that I say to get everything settled. When I say that Bol was a must-add because he was starting, he was a must-add because he was starting. Not because he's good, and not because I think he's going to do it all season, but because you've got to just see if you get a 10% chance that they roll with him 26 minutes a night rest of the season, you've got a great fantasy asset. But the fact remains he sucks. He can't defend. He can't play offense. His shot is good sometimes, it's bad other times. He was terrible. He had 31 usage. He was minus 16 in 9 minutes. What are you doing? So this is the second part of the bowl. This is the second time we've gone through the full bowl cycle. No minutes to starter, to no minutes, to starter, to no minutes. Does he move to the bench next game? I would think so. We could see, and we saw it, we've seen the clip of Kevin Durant pushing away Mike Budenholzer. We go, sort of, everything stinks in this team. So Budenholzer is going to try a million different things. Yesterday, we got 13 minutes out of Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen. Today, we got 29 Royce and 24 Grayson. 8 points, 2 threes, 2 steals for Allen. 12 with 4 threes for Royce. I don't want to trust it at all. I wouldn't trust it. It's going to go all over the place. What about the big fella that basically came in and won the game? Colin Gillespie. Yeah. Two-way guy, formerly of the Nuggets. He actually doesn't have any more two-way restrictions. He can play every game rest of the season because he's been inactive for every game, basically. 10 points with 2 threes. He had a leg fracture early in the season, I think it was. Was it a leg fracture or an ankle thing? Whatever. Something. Knee. Something. Lower body. Will they give him big minutes? I doubt it. But there is a chance here because Bol may not start. Bradley Beal got hurt again with soreness. He is going to miss. Tyus Jones is not him. He had 6 points. Royce O'Neal, maybe. Does O'Neal start for Bol? Does Gillespie get a chance? I would be shocked if Gillespie starts the next game. But I'm not going to rule it out entirely. I wouldn't add him. I wouldn't add Jones. Honestly, I don't even think I'd add O'Neal or Allen. But O'Neal and Allen and Jones and, amazingly, Gillespie, they're going to move into that streaming grouping of players. BDNR was fine. 16-7, no other stats, and that's sort of who he is. While the cockroach Mason Plumlee was better. 14-6-4, but that's again just deeper league stuff. But even though they won, look, Durant was fine. 34-7-4, steal 2 blocks. It's great. Devin Booker, very poor from the line. 4 of 8, including a couple of missed ones late. But 17-5-8, like it's whatever. It's not good. It's fine. It's just the random O'Neals and Joneses and Gillespies and what happens with Beal and what happens with Bol and what happens with Allen. They're undecided. And honestly, Budenholzer doesn't know. He's going to change his mind on this multiple times. And that's going to make it tough for us to get a read on it. And none of those guys feel like they should be must-roster players. Well, because they aren't. Now we do the final game of the day. The Pelicans and the Lakers. The Lakers win it easy. 136-115, the final score here. We'll start with the Pelicans. They originally said that BJ Boston was going to be available. But in the end, no BJ. He was ruled out, and they just had the same lineup that they normally go with. Zion played just 26 minutes, but just a casual 37, 4, and 6. Ridiculous moves, ridiculous dunks, insane field goals, bad free throws. What a run this guy is on at the moment, even though they're still getting cooked. Trey Murphy, 19-6-5. Kelly Olynyk, 27 minutes, 11, 4, and 2, 1-1. I just think, amazing as this is, and it makes no sense, but we just roster him. Jordy Hawkins had 17 with 4 threes. That's a pretty good game. I would not want to trust it. And guess what it was? Time for the random CJ McCollum. Are we going to be terrible or brilliant at today? Well, today it was 10 points in 25 minutes. Why? You can never understand the diurnal variations in CJ McCollum's performance. And I know it's not actually a diurnal variation, but it was a funny word. CJ is a guy to hold at this point, but honestly, I'm not sure how long. And one thing I will tell you, and I've been very consistent on this, you don't have to roster Yves Missi. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 24 minutes, bye. You don't have to roster Jose Alvarado. 5, 2, and 3, 26 minutes. You don't roster Carlo Makovic, 5, 4, and 3, and you don't roster Bruce Brown, 4, 5, and 1. And I see these guys on rosters, and they don't need to be there. Get them off. Not that way, but just remove them from your roster. Drop them back to the wire. Let's look at the Lakers side of this game. Same lineup for them as well. Austin Reeves' calf soreness is a calf strain. No idea when he's going to be back. We'll see how long that takes. LeBron, 34, 8, and 6, 2 blocks. Amazing. Luka, 30 and 8, 15 assists. Wow. I think the Mavs might enjoy his performances at this point. Although it was a terrible, terrible game from him from the line. And then after those guys, not a lot to get super excited about. Although that's a little unfair because Jackson Hayes was pretty good. 19 and 10 on 100% shooting. That's what he does. But you know how many of these centers are around. You can just find them. There's just random blokes that are around that give you those low-end, double-ish type. We saw Bismack Biyombo do it. Double-ish type numbers, decent field goals. Jackson is not a must-roster player. Jared Vanderbilt also looking a little bit better. 12 and 8, 2 threes, 2 blocks. I like that. I wouldn't feel any level of comfort in Vanderbilt on my roster, but it's getting better. Trey Jemison was solid as a backup. Gabe Vincent and Dorian Finney-Smith did nothing, replacing the guys they replaced, which is Hachimura and Reeves. And then we've got Dalton Connect, who had a second good game in a row. If you're in a deeper league, you can stream him in for points and threes, but that is it. 27 minutes, 13 points, 2 triples for Dalton Connect. That now will bring us to talk about lines of the night. The monstrous line of the night. Which direction are we going? Not Paolo, it's Devin Vassell. 37 and 10, 8 triples, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a block. 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and a block. That's better. Your waiver wire line of the night. Andy Nembhard, only 5 points, but 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. Very good stream value. A little bit more than that when Mathurin is out. Your young gun of the night. It is the night watchman, Mohamed Waiayuge. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block from Gay. If we played 25 minutes tonight, we'd be in, but I don't know that we are. And the dud of the night, well, it has to be him, doesn't it? Of course it's him. It's Bol. 2 points and 1 rebound. Yeah, I find it very, very tough to roster Bol at this point. Again, if he starts and plays 25 minutes, we're back in. But otherwise, we're not. So that's the day. We got a lot of injury news. I think the Paul George one's going to be really troubling in Philadelphia. The few options like Kelly Olynyk, probably a guy we want to go and grab. There's just multiple things. But again, at this point of the year, it is very unlikely. Eliminate the phrase league winner from your lexicon. Not really a thing that exists. What you want to do, like you look, hey, what makes sense for me in the next 3 or 4 days? Like Valanciunas, probably the closest thing to I've just got to grab and deal with it because you can see the path to the role. Remember, centers and point guards, when you replace them, are the easiest 1-for-1 replacements. Norm Powell's out for 10 days. Or what if it's Bogdan? What if it's Jones? What if it's Coffee? What if it's Dunn? Right? Sabonis goes down, he goes Valanciunas. But overall, we just want games. And with the way that things happen and things change quickly, locking yourself onto adding someone and going, this is the must add, this is the league winner, this is the move, it's Gay, it's Capella, it's Okongwu, it's Nyang, it's Ricochet, it's blah, it's blah, it's blah, it's blah. Like none of it matters. In the end, you're like, hey, what can I do for 2 days? What can I do for 4 days? What can I do for 3 days? And then, you know what? The next random bloke appears out of nowhere and go, I guess it's Jarris Walker time. I guess it's Lonnie Walker time. Hello. And then you try it. And then you try Trenton Watford. And then you try the next guy. And you try the next guy. And you just blunt force your way through if that is the way your league is set up. Versus like, here is my league winner. And it will be a bad player who barely plays and costs you time, money, energy, resources, whatever. Guys, I think that might be the end of the show. It is. Shout out to Kyrgyzstan. Any Kyrgyzstanis out here watching, give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Everyone else can do it as well on behalf of Kyrgyzstan. And I hope that things went well. I hope today's show was funny, informative, entertaining, and useful. If it was, tell me. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.